I'm Matt at Nexus Baseball, and this is episode 11 of the Tommy John Epidemic. This series is a YouTube read of content from the book Plague of the Gods, an outsider's perspective on baseball's Tommy John epidemic, which is available now on Amazon. I decided to put this content on YouTube to make the material as accessible as possible. This series examines the science behind the most superhuman action the human body can produce, accelerating a baseball up to 100 miles per hour. This combines with the perceived success of Tommy John's surgery to lead many to ignore the risks and symptoms. They hear of the success stories of pitchers currently in the major leagues who have had the surgery, some of whom after the correction now throw even harder, not realizing that Dr. Job is on the record as stating that the surgery doesn't make a pitcher throw harder, it simply repairs a defect. They are likewise unaware of the massively shortened average career length, long recovery, pain and suffering, and 20% failure rate. Some parents are even quoted as saying they would rather their son have the procedure as early as possible so it won't affect them for the draft. This velocity at any cost attitude is further fueled by the relatively recent development of the travel ball circuit and paid showcase events. Prior to the 21st century, high school level baseball, local baseball organizations, and the college baseball system were the primary avenues for the draft. The challenge for many players was visibility to national scouts, particularly if they lived in remote areas and had few teams to compete against. Travel baseball emerged as an alternative, with such areas forming teams that would compete against neighboring cities on a regular basis. These teams were costly for players as they had to cover the organizational fees as well as the expensive cost of regular travel. This began the monetization of the lowest levels of baseball, with parents frequently spending thousands of dollars a year for their son or daughter to play competitive travel ball. Some of these private organizations became highly profitable and would hire paid coaches and trainers to justify higher dues. This lucrative monetization of low-level amateur play is not unique to baseball and is now commonplace amongst all sports. Travel ball players are given greater opportunity to be seen by scouts by traveling to larger markets. The trade-off is that due to the larger investment, travel ball players often play and practice significantly more than their local counterparts. This compounds with the travel ball players in mid-size and larger markets who also play on their high school or regional teams as well. The organizations do not necessarily communicate, and it is up to the player and their family to attempt to manage their workload. For an aspiring pitcher, this often means throwing more than any professional player ever would, all on a developing frame. Further complicating this is the role of the paid coach. They are being paid to develop a successful team. The players are expecting to be successful and achieve wide notice from scouts, while the jobs of the coaches themselves depend on their team's performance. Just like in the pros. More victories mean more recruits and the ability for the organization to charge more. This puts the coach in a constant balancing act between riding successful pitchers on their teams to victory while maintaining their overall health. Often the former wins out, as the coach won't be their coach forever, just at that level, leaving their long-term health someone else's issue. This isn't often a malicious or even conscious decision, but a bias to err on the side of immediate need over unknowable future effect. Therefore, it is again up to the parents, who also have a financial interest and investment in their child, to manage a player's health. Adding to the difficulty in managing workloads are showcase events. Seeing the success of travel ball teams, several scouting showcase corporations were formed with the aim of providing one-stop shopping for professional scouts. The most successful of these showcase organizations is Perfect Game, starting with a few events and now hosting dozens of events across the country. The showcase holds events, charging prospects to attend and demonstrate their skills before a collection of scouts. This is beneficial for the players as they might get additional exposure, for the scouts who are required to do less travel to see talent, as well as for the showcase organization who, often using city fields, have few fixed costs. Perfect Game has expanded into massive regional events at professional sports complexes, bringing together hundreds of travel ball and showcase specific teams from around the country. The negative consequence of these showcase events for pitchers is that they compound with local and travel ball games and practices to further increase the number of pitches thrown, often within short spans. Youth pitchers could be forced to choose between pitching with their own teams or attending scheduled showcases if they want to limit the number of pitches thrown within a period. Often the choice is simply to do both and accept the risk to get ahead. This can be particularly damaging as the primary purpose of these showcase events for pitchers is to throw with maximum effort to show off for the radar guns of the assembled scouts. The most prevailing effect of the expansion of travel baseball and showcase organizations is the adoption of single sport specialization and year-round throwing. Many travel ball teams, particularly those in temperate states, operate year-round instead of during a fixed baseball season. When not playing in their regular seasons, these teams are participating in tournaments held around the country and hosted by organizations like Perfect Game. In between tournaments, prospects are also often attending individual showcases. This has created a schedule of events that has turned baseball from the sport of the summer into a year-round continuum of games and events. For players that love the game, this seems ideal as they never have to stop playing the sport that they love. More practice also means a quicker path to development. The unfortunate repercussion is there is no off-season to relax, recover, or play other sports. Modern major leaguers like Kevin Pillar decry this approach, as he believes that playing multiple sports growing up allowed him to develop better as a complete athlete. The danger for pitchers are particularly acute, as in addition to dealing with the general athletic issues that come with the rigors of playing competitive athletics continually, they also have to deal with protecting their arms. There is a saying in baseball that the best thing for a pitcher's arm is the New England snow, meaning that the natural change of season allows a pitcher to recover over the offseason and be ready for the next season. In fact, baseball players that specialize in single sports are 70 to 90% more likely to be injured than multi-sport athletes, according to Christopher Ahmad, MD. In year-round baseball, with no off-season, there's little to no time off from throwing throughout the calendar year, and with so many teams and so many events, competitive pitchers are throwing tremendously more volume than they ever have before. Even with youth pitch counts and tracking to prevent overuse from day to day or week to week, the sheer volume of pitches thrown at max effort throughout the year is distressing. Tracking this usage varies wildly from player to player, but given the decreases in yearly workload in the major leagues, youth players are now often throwing considerably more than their professional counterparts. Throughout the season, players are also lifting weights and engaging in conditioning programs, provided as part of their team's program. These programs are well-intentioned and seek to build up developing youth player athleticism, particularly in ways they may not get simply by playing the game. The goal is better players and better athletes. Join me for episode 12 next week. Remember, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. Your support makes this work possible. Also, if you want to jump ahead, please consider picking up the book on Amazon from the link in the description below. See you next week.